Hi, everyone, and welcome to our discussion on data-driven instructions. And we're going to talk about how to empower admins and teachers to make data-driven instructional decisions. Just as a way of introductions, my name is Justin Hibbert. I'm a regional director at Instructure, and I'm joined with Ron McDaniel, one of our solutions engineers. Many people are familiar with Canvas as part of our instructional learning platform, our flagship learning management system, and also perhaps familiar with our Mastery Connect system, our assessment management system, as well as some of the professional development and the content and online programs. But many people may not realize that Instructure also offers some analytics and data quality tools that make up the Instructure learning platform as well. And that's what we're going to focus on today. One of the challenges in education is that a lot of the people that deal with data, or the people that need to deal with data in order to make instructional decisions, don't often get that data in a timely way. And Mike Schmoker said, things get done only if the data we gather can inform and inspire those in a position to make a difference. And we're going to talk about how can we put that data in the hands of admins and teachers in order for them to use that data to make a difference and to do timely intervention with their students. And so for today, we're going to talk about our analytics tool called Videri, which will soon be changed to Elevate Analytics. The challenge when it comes to analytics and data in school districts is that oftentimes that data lives in silos. Multiple software systems don't connect or share that information easily. So you have your SIS data, you might have like your Canvas data, your Mastery Connect data, and then your data from various assessments. And so there are some people that spend countless hours combining that data in spreadsheets and trying to build some sort of makeshift dashboard that people can utilize, whether that's through a BI tool like Tableau or even just through like something like Google Sheets. The problem is that there's only a few people in order to combine that data and to build those dashboards. And so you have that data bottleneck. And then a lot of times the people that have that data or have access to that data and building the dashboards don't know the right questions to ask about that data. Really, the people that know the questions to ask are the ones standing in front of the students, whether that's a counselor or a principal, of course, a teacher. Let me turn it over to Ron, who's going to talk about what this data mess looks like and then the way that Instructure deals with this.
Thanks, Justin. So you're very familiar with this. I think to the left, this is how most of the school districts are set up. You have multiple platforms, right? Some of our customers have over 100 plus different applications, different platforms that they're serving the needs of their teachers and students with. But it's really these connections and getting data from one to the other, and it just ends up looking like the graph on the left. The problems with that is really lacks strong integration points for analytics and reporting, right? There's really poor data lineage and poor interoperability. There's nothing sadder in a school district to see districts that invest in a platform, and those platforms cannot work well together. But from the very, very beginning, when we were developing Videri, we decided to build Videri around a standard, right? An educational data standard. And the standard that we chose was the Ed5 standard. Now, the Ed5 standard is the most widely adopted open educational data standard. It's supported by the Michael and Susan Dale Foundation. They provide a lot of resources. They even provide the open API, the Ed5 API, to platforms and to vendors like us to then take and incorporate into our platform so that these platforms can easily and seamlessly send data between platforms, right? So what you have on the right is a much more organized way to interconnect these platforms to get all of the data into a central location we call the data hub, that then you can begin to really use it and benefit from the power of all of that data and those powerful analytics that then provides your district.
And I think, Ron, if they are Instructure customers, they're probably familiar with our open data standards, and they probably know, they probably heard about OneRoster or LTI or things like that. How does that compete with Ed5? Could you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely, Justin. And it's really exciting to hear our CEO, Steve Bailey, speak to this often, right? To me as a technologist, it's so important to adopt standards, not try to reinvent the wheel every time and make something that ends up being very proprietary. And as a district, you kind of get locked into that technology. Well, adoption of standards like EdFi, also there's some others that address rostering called One Roster. IMS Global is really behind creating a lot of these standards. And then LTI, Learning Tools Interoperability, right? It's really a way to utilize these standards so that we really can work together as platforms. So as you as a district, you don't get vendor, lock-in. You can pick and choose platforms that better serve your district. And then those platforms can work well together. One Roster, rostering automatically, all of those platforms very easily, automatically. The LTI integration, where one platform works tightly with a learning management system like Canvas, right? Our assessment, Mastery Connect, those assessments are integrated tightly within Canvas using the LTI standard. And then the EdFi standard, which is really just a data standard that provides a consistent architecture for your data on how that data is being stored and how that data is being accessed to serve our needs around visualizing it and bringing it together in a single source of truth, if you will.
So what you're saying is the EdFi standard is just another standard, open standard, to which Instructure has adopted in order to make interoperability feasible among our products.
That's correct. Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome.
And at a very high level, when you think about Videri, what does Videri do? Well, it simply takes data from all of these different platforms, whether it's a student information system, whether it's a learning management system like Canvas, whether it's an assessment management system like Mastery Connect. There are certainly many, many others. Those state assessments that everyone takes, and other assessments and data sources, social and emotional learning platforms. There's so many different incredible platforms out there that have really incredible reporting, but bringing that data all together so that you can see it side by side, right? See your learning management engagement right next to your state assessment results, right next to other platform data is really, really powerful. And looking at when you really kind of, drill all the way down to a specific student, right? Where you look at Ron McDaniel and you see a very holistic view of all of these different data points on Ron McDaniel, and you can then serve Ron's needs better. We also provide, at the bottom, you can see data out. So we bring all this into the EdFi ODS. And then if you have other tools, we provide Videri, which you're going to see, which is a very, very rich analytic dashboard platform. But then if you have other platforms, other BI tools that you use in the district, like Tableau, like Power BI, those you can also use those and access the data warehouse that we are hosting for you and doing really all of this heavy lifting so that you can spend more time analyzing the data, right? And discovering insights and addressing the needs within your school district. Now, when we look at enabling data-driven decisions, these are the things that you're going to see with Videri, right? We're going to provide you actionable insights on day one. So we provide out of the box hundreds of dashboards specific to K-12, right? So you can begin using those. Analytics that anyone can use. We provide that semantic layer that separates the code or the SQL programming and provide it in layman's terms so that you do not have to have skill sets like SQL data engineers. You can simply select the metrics and put them together to build really rich dashboards. You're going to look at how we have year over year data, right? We bring in historical data so you can see that multi-year trend information based on different metrics. It's a hosted solution. We do all that heavy lifting for you, built around those industry standards so that you are not locked into something that's proprietary. And then it's simply going to be a way that you're going to see this in a very powerful way to look at the whole picture, right? Different data side by side over different years, periods of time.
Awesome. So why don't we go ahead and we'll take a look at Videri and we'll go ahead and walk right through it. So we're going to do a very quick demo here, a very quick overview of Videri. We're going to look today at visuals and then Data Explorer. And then Ron is going to pick it up with watch lists and perspectives. So let's just jump right into visuals and see how this all looks. From day one, as Ron said, is that one of the things that we do is provide you with dashboards right from the get-go, things around attendance or enrollment, discipline, academic records, assessments, things that we know, dashboards that we know will be helpful to you. So you don't have to wait to build dashboards in order to use Videri. However, the beautiful thing about Videri is that you can build unlimited numbers of dashboards and grab whatever charts you want to build those dashboards and bring it right into your system. And then you can share those with other people. And this is an example of some dashboards that have been shared with me. Now, one of the dashboards that I want to focus on here is this district overview. This is a great dashboard. Let's say I'm a superintendent, or I'm a district level person, someone at the district level, or maybe even a principal of a building. And I want to understand the district in a high level overview. I just want something where I walk in on day one and I can see all of these particular metrics in one spot. And it's just going to take a second to load because there's a lot of data coming in here. One of the things that I want to stress is something that Ron talked about. We are bringing data in from multiple sources, from your student information system, from your LMS, from assessments, from very different places, like even social emotional learning, and bring it all in so that you can see everything in one space. So this example of, we just want to show this because it's not specific to a grade level or to a particular school or to a particular program. You see in here things like AP courses, SAT rates, average classroom size, enrollment comparison, attendance data. This is a great way to visualize how we can bring all of that data and then surface it using the power of Videri. The other thing that you'll notice here as well is you'll see longitudinal data. We can make data comparisons across multiple years. So if you want to see school performance from 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and so forth, we can absolutely do that right here within the Videri platform. Now, one of the powerful things about Videri, and something that Ron mentioned, is that you don't need to know SQL. So we're not creating this bottleneck where only certain users know how to use this tool. This tool can be used by everyone across the district, from your principals to your counselors to your teachers. And again, we want to emphasize that one of the most important things is providing your end users with access to data so that they can make that data-driven decision. So let's say I'm again a superintendent or assistant superintendent, and I want to come over here and I want to find out and dig in a little bit more into this data. Well, I can do that a couple of ways, and one way here is to go over and to look at something like maybe student characteristic and look at my economically disadvantaged students, or maybe those on a 504 plan, or maybe even let's look at our African American students. When I apply one of these filters, all of the data changes automatically. So now my data is refreshed in real time based on the filters that I've applied. And I can apply multiple filters as well. It just doesn't have to be one filter. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back off of this filter for just a second. And I'm going to show you some other ways that we can filter this and modify this data. You'll see here that I could even look maybe by particular school. So I don't want to see all my schools. Maybe I just want to see Grady Alberts Elementary. As soon as I click on that, all of that data will change as well and filter appropriately. This is so important because this takes out the work of saying, okay, well, we're going to create one dashboard for this school and one dashboard for this school and one dashboard for this segment. And instead, we can apply filters or watch lists across any type of dashboard to surface the data we want to see. Now, what I'd like to do is, now that we've looked at a dashboard, what I'd like to do is look at a particular piece of data and explore it. You'll notice that all of our data here is dynamic. All of our dashboards, or all of our charts, I should say, are dynamic. So I can easily highlight over and get some details. But if I really want to explore a little bit more, I'm going to go ahead and click on one of the charts, and it's going to highlight for me. And then I'm going to go over here and click the Explore button. Now, what all of the flashes are doing is Videri is telling me the logic by which this particular chart was created. And what I'd like to do, though, is I'd like to explore this data a little bit more, which is why we call it Data Explorer. Maybe what I'd like to do is look at these students with academic classroom behavioral issues. I see that there are 393 students, but I want to know more information. So when I click on it, Videri asks me, what do you want to know? And I want to type in here, student. So I'm going to click on student and click on OK. And now it's going to give me a list of students. Now, this isn't really a helpful chart. So what I'd like to do is go over here and just click on data view. And that automatically turns this into a list view where I can see all of my students. Now, I really want this chart to be super helpful to counselors, to other admins that are looking at this chart. So I want to provide some more details to who are these students. And I can do that just simply by going over here to show additional columns. And I might add things like age, current grade level, current school, as well as race and ethnicity and sex. And now I have all of that information. I can see that a lot of them are coming from Alex Daly Elementary, but other schools as well, and what grade they're in and so forth. This is a great tool that gives me that more insight on that academic classroom behavior by student. Now, it's really easy to take these charts and just save them and share them. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just say, create this chart, because I want to save this chart and use it in other dashboards. So I'll just say, create this chart. And I'm going to say academic behavior 1, chart 1, and click OK. And then that chart is now saved in my repositories. I mentioned to you that we can create any type of dashboard, unlimited dashboards, unlimited views. And it's so easy to do. Just simply create new dashboard, manage charts. And I'm going to say academic, what did I call that? Academic classroom behavior chart 1. We'll go ahead and click on that and add it. As well as I could add other things, other charts into this dashboard that have already been created. So you'll see here that all of these charts have been created, allows me to go ahead and click OK and bring these into a brand new dashboard. Now I have created my own dashboard, and we're going to go ahead and save this. So I'm going to call this Justin's dashboard and hit save. We'll cancel editing. And now my dashboard appears and showing up here. And you'll see here that I can have both the list views as well as the charts as well. So lots of ways to surface this data, have this data side by side to look at this data, basically empower people with the data they need. Now, I mentioned to you that we can empower people we can empower people with data by sharing these dashboards. There's a few ways that we can share them. One is we can send them as an email or save them as an image or PDF. So like, let's say we're getting ready for a board meeting or we want to publish a slide deck on our website to parents and families. We can easily take this data and share it that way. But we can also manage this and publish this. And now we can publish it to specific roles like a counselor or teachers, team leads, things like that, as well as to specific teachers. Now, one of the things that you may wonder is, what about the private information? If I'm publishing this across its district data, and but I'm publishing this to specific maybe 5th grade teachers, will the 5th grade teachers be able to see all the students in those dashboards? And the answer to that question is no. This actually retains that privacy, the PII function, so that only teachers can only see the data that they are allowed to see. And with that, I click on publish, and now I've shared that dashboard with other users. Just one other thing that I want to share with you here. If we take a look maybe at a 5th grade class and what this could look like in 5th grade, we can see here how we can look at this data and look at things like across particular standards. We can see things like rounding or multiply by numbers, and we can see longitudinal data as well. I hope that you can appreciate how vital this would be to get in the hands of a teacher. So it's not just a tool for the administration. It's not just a tool for your data people. This is a tool that can really empower teachers to look at data and say, I need to provide this intervention today. I need to know what these solutions are, because really timely intervention is good intervention. If we wait too long, that that intervention, that window for intervention, good intervention may have passed. With that, let me turn it over to Ron, who's going to walk us through the watch list and perspectives.
Yeah, thank you, Justin. So watch list, just at a very high level, is a really powerful way for you to identify specific criteria, right? So maybe in your district, you've applied for a grant or a fund that is targeting really specific students meeting specific criteria. For instance, like I said, in my district, we were heavily funded with some of the federal grants and that were out there. And part of the requirement is tracking how that fund or that money is impacting these specific students. And that's really how a watch list can serve your district. So the one option we have is to create a simple watch list. So if we go ahead and select the create student watch list here, what you're going to see are 3 different options that we provide to you. Now, maybe you're a special ed director or teacher and you serve, a certain students, right? And those students you're always serving. Well, that would be a static watch list where I simply select static, and then I add all of the students that I serve, and then I simply grab the metrics that are important for me to watch and to track for those kiddos. And that's what a static watch list will do. The second option you have is what's called a dynamic watch list. So you really don't know what students yet, but you do know the criteria, right? So you're going to build a dynamic watch list around specific criteria, whether it's attendance, whether it's behavior, whether it's grades, what have you. And then as data flows into the system every single night, it's going to identify the kiddos that meet that criteria. The third option is really exciting. So not just a dynamic watch list, but sometimes we have specific metrics that are weighted differently, right? That we're looking for an overall score, but each metric is weighted very differently. And that's what you can do with a dynamic based on point assignment. So you're defining that criteria, but you're adding points to that specific criteria so that you get an overall score and you identify kids based on that. So 3 really powerful ways to create these watch lists. So let's go back to a watch list itself. And what you're going to see here is a watch list that was created looking at 6th grade students below standard on mathematics, the summative assessment. So I'm looking at this watch list, and if you expand the right-hand menu over there, you're going to see a definition on how this watch list, what it's doing. So when you look at the configuration down below, it's showing you when I created this watch list, these are the criteria that I set aside to identify kiddos. And on the left is a list of all the kids that are meeting that criteria, right? Not only ones that are meeting the criteria, but oftentimes we want to see when kids enter or exit a watch list. So, we created a watch list. It's identified the kids, it added them to this watch list, and you can see that we date and timestamp. But as kids exceed that criteria, which is our goal, we then show when those kids exceeded that criteria and were removed from that watch list. So how is that fund impacting these kids? Here's a very easy way to capture those kids, let the system automatically identify those kids for you so no kid is being missed, right? Which is what happens when we do it manually. And then we have very powerful ways to, again, send this out. Maybe we're going to share this out to our colleagues. We can email it, we can print it, we can export to some type of a file format like Excel to do additional analyses on these. So watch lists are a really powerful way to identify criteria, and then identify the kids that are meeting that criteria, right? So we can serve those needs. Now, when we look at a specific child here, so if we're going to look at, let's say, Suzanne and expand Suzanne down, what you're going to see is trend information here for Suzanne. You're going to see a lot of different information being provided to us. On the left-hand side, what you're going to see is something called scorecard or perspective. So to give you an idea of what this is how now you can look at a single student, an individual student, Suzanne in this case. We're looking at key metrics at the top. And then we're looking, as Justin scrolls down the page, at all of these really rich metrics, not just current year, but year over year. So we can really identify what's changing in Suzanne's life, right? What's happening? So we can really ask deeper questions and begin to understand the challenges that Suzanne may be facing Maybe they're something like a behavior problem that's affecting academic performance, right? So we can really begin to understand and work with Suzanne and meet the needs of Suzanne from a very, very high level.
So this is a great tool, Ron. And if I understand this is a great tool for, if I'm a teacher, a lot of times teachers say, working with their Canvas teachers, they say, I can only see what's in my class. I can't see how the student's performing in other classes or overall. So I don't know, like all of a sudden their grades drop. And I want to know, is this a trend that's happening across the board? This would really help me with that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it is, especially at the beginning of the school year. If you think you're getting those new kiddos in, right, you don't have a lot of historical knowledge about those students yet, right? But this tool, using perspectives and the scorecards, you can really get to know that student, get to know Ron from a very deep level here, from the very first day of class. So you can start working with Ron and identifying the needs that Ron has to really impact outcomes for Ron throughout the year.
And I would think too, this is a powerful tool for counselors, principals. When you're having your parent-teacher conferences or those one-on-ones with parents, and you're armed with a lot more data than just that particular year. You can see the whole, the longitudinal, the big picture, like we've been talking about.
Absolutely, Dustin. Yeah.
Yeah, and having conversations like, yeah, I see Suzanne's attendance was getting worse and worse and worse every year, but look at 2020, 2021, it's 100%. Talk to me about what's happening. What's the change that's happening in Suzanne's life?
That's right. And as you put those programs in place to really address the needs that Suzanne has, you can see how that's impacting, impacting that student year over year. Yeah.
Now, a lot of people want to know, how do we share this out? Can we share this with parents, or, can they see this information? How would you answer that question?
Yeah, it's a great question. So absolutely. So we can share this out. We, again, have different ways to send this information. You can see right there that we can print it out. Maybe your guidance counselor, maybe you're getting ready for a parent-teacher conference, right? I can simply print this out for the kiddos in my classroom and have them in their folder. So when I'm meeting with Ron's parents or guardians, I can pull this out and imagine the impact this would have on a parent or guardian. Like, you really understand my child really, really well when they see something like this, right? It's really, really powerful. Maybe it's something that I want to email and send to a parent. Maybe it's something that I just want to save as Excel and do additional analysis on it, but just a lot of ways to really use this information to really positively impact that student.
Yeah, and for those who are Canvas users, Videri, the Videri icon shows up in the global navigation bar right on the left side. So it's a single click, single sign-on. So teachers can get right to the data they need. But one of the new releases that we have is that when a parent or student clicks on that Videri icon, they're going to see their student scorecard. So a really powerful way to bring that data, not only just to the to the decision makers about curriculum and instruction, but also to the students and parents themselves, so they can see what's the big picture on the student performance as well. Well, as we wrap this up here, what are some takeaways, Ron, of Videri? What makes Videri stand out above maybe some of the other analytics solutions that are out there?
Yeah, great question. So really, if you look at these 4 points here, I think it will easily be able to summarize the benefits of Videri. So it's really a comprehensive analytics solution, right? There's a lot of good data in other platforms, but not all the data. Like, there's some good reports and data in your student information system. There's some really good data and reporting in your assessment management system, right? But there isn't anywhere that all of that data can be brought together into a single place, a comprehensive analytics solution. That's what Videri provides. Secondly, we're really, you're not getting vendor locked in. You're not being locked into some proprietary platform. This is really built on industry standards. So as we bring the data in, we utilize the EdFi ODS for that. So you're free to take that data and very easily so to other places as well. You saw how simple it was, right? You do not have to have a staff of SQL experts. We kind of separate that and provide the ways to create dashboards and create those charts in a very user-friendly format. And it's real-time actionable analysis, right? Oftentimes we maybe use a state longitudinal data system, right? That's data that's captured once a year, or maybe like for the PIM stuff, right? You're uploading that data. And by the time that the data is made available, it may be a little too late to act. We need to know where kids are every single day. If you figure like we're looking at a tardies, so if you've got a focus on tardies, you need to have that data, in front of you every single day to really impact and change the behavior of those students. So it's real-time, actionable analysis and data that's at your fingertips whenever you need it.
Awesome. Well, with that, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch our webinar here on Videri and on how we can use Videri to really empower teachers and admins, principals, counselors to make those timely data-driven instructional decisions. If you have more questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is jhibbard@instructure.com, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you again.
Thank you all.